clear there is a growing problem inside the US military. And I don't mean just the fact that the man who tells them what to do is posting like he's a drunk frat boy playing Call of Duty.
Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. We should note that destroying civilian power infrastructure is generally considered to constitute a war crime under international law.
While troops are deploying, aircraft are being shot down and escalation is ongoing, the Pentagon is firing its own leadership. As has been reported, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has now removed multiple senior Army leaders, including Army Chief of Staff General Randy George and other high-ranking officials, all during wartime operations, it should be added.
Secretary Pete Hegseth fired the U.S. Army Chief of Staff General Randy George and two other top Army generals on Thursday, dismissals that come as the U.S. appears poised to intensify strikes. And the Pentagon is weighing a potential ground invasion.
Two ousters today, this time from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He has asked Army Chief of Staff General Randy George to leave his post. George is the Army's most senior general. A defense official says Hegseth asked General George to retire immediately.
There's been no clear public justification, no transition period. They're just gone, it appears. And this isn't isolated, right? That's what I wanted to focus on. More than a dozen senior officials have been pushed out or forced into retirement in recent weeks. It's prompted quite the response from former military personnel, and even some Republicans are chiming in.
Intelligence, he's got the discipline, his warfighting experience is enormous. He's got the warrior ethos, and he's transforming the Army and taking it into the new technology and warfare that is so changing. Right. The truth is he's leading the other services in most of all of that. And I don't agree with his dismissal for sure because of what he's doing to the Army and the change it's impacting the department writ large.
That's what I've heard too.
Now, at the center of this story is the forced removal of the Army's top general during active conflict, General Randy George, a career military officer with decades of experience. Well, he was pushed out early along with other senior leaders as part of a broader shakeup inside the Pentagon. And it only further alludes to chaos within the ranks, right? Even defense officials are saying it out loud. One has described this move as insane. And it's not an activist speaking on the matter. It's those who have served. And this is where it becomes even more serious, right? According to reporting from The Atlantic, this isn't just a reshuffle. It looks to them in the reporting like a purge. Senior officers removed not for battlefield failure per se, but for political alignment, personal friction, or perceived disloyalty. And the article goes further. It warns that this risks politicizing the military itself, which shouldn't come as a surprise, seeing as who is in charge here.
Now, I have been personally covering General Randy George's career for about 15 years. I wrote a book in 2012 about the ill-fated combat outpost Keating, which had been, in 2006, placed in a dangerous position in Afghanistan. Then Colonel Randy George and his Lieutenant Colonel Brad Brown tried to shut down that outpost in 2008 because of the precarious position it was in, although their warnings were not heeded with any urgency. And then Cop Keating was devastatingly attacked in 2009. Those who know General Randy George consider him to be well-respected, smart, strategic, someone who acts with the best interests of his service members and the United States at the top of his mind. His dismissal, along with that of Chief of Chaplains Major General William Green Jr. and Commander of Army Transformation and Training Command General David Hodney, are just the latest in a string of abrupt firings that Hegseth has carried out inside the Pentagon since he took office. Hegseth has fired more than a dozen senior military officers over the last year. In fact, he's almost completely remade the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Just two officials remain from before President Trump took office. Marine Corps Commandant General Eric Smith and Chief of Space Operations General B. Chance Saltzman. Now, you might have noticed if you look at that photo, Hegseth's version of the Joint Chiefs, those are entirely white men, despite the fact that as of 2024, nearly 33% of active duty service members are of color, and nearly 18% are women. Hegseth made it quite clear that that type of representation in the top ranks does not matter to him.
The era of DEI is gone at the Defense Department,
and we need the best and brightest. Physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. We're reviving the warrior ethos. We're eliminating the distractions and the debris. No more DEI.
Two of the first leaders Hegseth let go were former Joint Chiefs Chair General C.Q. Brown, the second black officer to hold that post, and Chief of Naval Operations Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to lead the U.S. Navy. Just last week, the New York Times reported that in an extraordinarily rare move, Hegseth was actively blocking the promotions of 4 Army officers. Officials saying 2 of the officers are black, 2 of them are women. Parnell defended the promotion process to the New York Times as apolitical and unbiased, unquote. The New York Times reports that Army Secretary Dan Driscoll repeatedly refused to let Hegseth strike those officers' names from the promotion list. Officials told the Times that Driscoll took heat from Hegseth's chief of staff, the controversial Ricky Berea, for promoting Major General Antoinette Gant to command the military district of Washington. The Times reporting, quote, Mr. Berea told Mr. Driscoll that President Trump would not want to stand next to a black female officer at military events, the official said, unquote. Berea denies that story. Driscoll is someone Hegseth perceives as a threat, sources tell CNN. Unsurprisingly, he has worked closely with the now retired General Randy George. Hegseth's firing sprees targeting women, targeting people of color, or even just those he feels personally threatened by. This all comes as the U.S. is weighing a further escalation in the already unpopular war in Iran, a ground invasion that could potentially risk the lives of thousands of troops, which only 11% of U.S. adults polled by CNN support. In that same poll, incidentally, Secretary Hegseth himself is registering at a 35% approval rating, with 65% of the American people disapproving. And now, without the guidance of tenured military officials who have served for decades honorably, that guidance, because Secretary Hegseth is either dismissed or hamstrung for reasons that remain unclear to even top military officers, now the Trump administration is scrambling to prove to the American people that there is a clear plan for the war in Iran and that it's worth the costs of thousands of U.S. troops that they're putting in harm's way.
And it's all happening while an estimated over 50,000 U.S. troops are tied to operations in the region. Air and missile defense systems are actively engaged, and escalation with Iran is ongoing, if not getting worse. I mean, they don't seem to be conceding to Trump's demands anytime soon.
A little bit of breaking news coming out of the Middle East. Hearing in the last few moments from the Reuters news agency that Iran has rejected a US proposal for a 48-hour ceasefire. That's according to an unnamed source speaking to the Fars news agency. Iran rejecting a US proposal, apparently, for a 48-hour ceasefire. We'll keep across that for you.
And this is why military leaders, quietly and not so quietly, are pushing back against the administration, because from their perspective, this doesn't signal strength. It signals instability.
The president suggested that the Straits of Hormuz could open naturally. Is that realistic, or is it going to take ground troops?
Well, George, in any conflict, certainly, Iran is going to have some things that they're going to be able to do during the conflict. But if you don't undertake the conflict, if you just step back and watch, as the Obama administration was going to do while Iran became a nuclear power and they became North Korea, we wouldn't be looking at the Strait of Hormuz. We'd be looking at what's, having Europe be at risk. You'd have the United States being at risk. You'd have all of our allies and ultimately the continental United States at risk from Iran.
Right. But what I asked you about was the Straits of Hormuz. The Straits of Hormuz are still closed to most traffic right now. Can it be reopened without American ground troops?
Well, I think, certainly you're seeing that even as this conflict evolves, that is being put in place. And I don't think U.S. ground troops are going to be necessary in any direct conflict. So
are you saying that as long as the nuclear capability is diminished, it doesn't matter whether we open up the Straits of Hormuz?
No, the Straits of Hormuz, the Straits are going to be open, and it certainly is important to occur. But you can't say, well, as long as the Straits are open, we can let them continue to be a power that marches toward being a nuclear power, that continues to develop missile technology that can threaten the United States and threaten Europe, and continue to perfect long-range missile technology. You have to be able to address this, great sponsor of terrorism.
which the American people can also see, considering support for this conflict is dwindling more by the day.
Now, just a third of Americans approve of how the president is handling his role of commander-in-chief as well as the war.
I mean, have you seen these gas station interviews that are popping up? I will tell you, if you want to feel the pulse of the nation, go ahead and ask people how they feel about this war, about this administration, and the state of affairs in America when they're pumping gas at the moment.
It's sad that we have to pay this much for gas right now.
Knowing that this is all connected to the war in Iran and oil prices going up and up, what's your reaction to that?
What, the war?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we don't even want to go there. That's a whole nother reaction. I don't understand it.
It's stupid. It's so stupid that I'm being forced to pay more at the pump for things that I don't have any say in and that fundamentally I don't believe in. I don't have the time or mental energy to be thinking about this constantly. Please stop doing things that hurt my pocket.
Now, Steven, that man in the red hoodie, he actually didn't even fill up his tank completely. He told me he actually was just putting a little bit in before he finds a gas station with cheaper prices.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.